Good afternoon, students. Once again, I welcome you to this virtual platform. I'm in the person of Otu Kumimaiko. Today, I am your facilitator and I'll be taking you through mathematics with the topic statistics. When we say statistics, how do you understand? So I want you to take your book and your pen and let's go through this lesson. Good. Now, before we start everything, let's look at our learning objectives. By the end of the lesson, students should be able to define statistics. 2. Students should be able to understand the mode of handling data. 3. A student should be able to know how to construct a frequency distribution table using a tally table. This one becomes our learning objectives. Good. Now let's move on. Good. Now on the screen, what do we have? That is statistics. How do you understand statistics? Statistics deals with how data is collected, grouped together in a suitable way for graphical representation and interpretation of figures or numbers. Now, when we talk about data, how do you understand data? In ICT, we said data is the raw facts, the unprocessed facts. In its natural form, data is meaningless. Okay, so we collect the data, we group the data, then we try to organize them in a graph or on a graph so that it can be what? Understood and presentable. Good. Now, statistics is the study of the collection and analysis, interpretation, presentation, and organization of data. So in statistics, we analyze, we interpret, we present, and we come out with the meaningful states of the facts that has been processed. That becomes statistics. It is a disciplined way to collect and summarize data in mathematics. That is statistics. Good. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, in statistics, we have some terms that we should be able to know and understand. Wherever we meet them, we should be able to use them. The first one is district data. These are data that are restricted to only certain exact distinct of numbers. It is usually found by counting. It is usually found by counting. A group of students in a class, you are counting them with numbers. That becomes district data. So district data deals with numbers. The counting of district data deals with numbers. Good. Let's move on. We have district data, we have continuous data. Alright. Now, when we say continuous data, they are found by measurement, not counting. Take note. They are found by measurement, not counting. So with the continuous data, we don't deal with numbers. We deal with objects. We measure objects. That becomes continuous data into a suitable degree of accuracy. A suitable degree of accuracy. That becomes data, continuous data. An example is the weight and height of an object that can be measured using units as in kilogram or centimeters. That becomes a continuous data. So we have the district data which deals with numbers, and the continuous data which deals with measurement, not by counting with numbers. All right, let's move on. Good. Now, more light on a district data. District data can only take certain values. It only deals with certain values, specific values. An example, the number of students in a class. Number of students in a class. So over here, we need to come up with the total number of students in that particular class. We shouldn't have half of the students. No, we are dealing with the total number of students in a class. An example again, the result of rolling 2 dice. The result of rolling 2 dice. What are the faces that will show up? Good. So this is an example, okay? An example as you see it on the screen. The number of students in a class. So here we are not talking about half of students in a class, no. And the result of rolling 2 dice. It only has the values of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That becomes district data. It deals with counting. Good. Continuous data. Continuous data can only take any value within a range. Continuous data can take any value within a range. An example, a person's height could be any value within a range. Human height, not just certain fixed heights. That is what you have to understand. A person's height, any value. So with the continuous data, as we said earlier, it deals with objects. Then time in a race, it can only be measured to a fraction of a second. Time in a race. So we are dealing with units over here, we are dealing with objects over here, and then we are dealing with what? Measurement. The length of a leaf, a dog's weight. So the weight of a dog, that becomes a continuous data. It only also takes any value within a range. As we said earlier on, continuous data deals with measurements. Good. All right. Now, as far as statistics is concerned, we need to understand what we call data handling. When we say data handling, how do you understand data handling? It reads, data handling refers to the process of gathering, recording, and presenting information in a way that will be useful to others. Where are these informations kept? On a graph, using a chart. It refers to the process of gathering. So you see, you gather the information. That is one thing that you need to understand about data handling. First, what you have to do is to gather the information. So after gathering the information, there must be a recording. After recording the information needs to be what? Presented. So the process of gathering the information, recording the information using a device, using a graph, using a chart, and presenting information that will be meaningful to others, meaningful to end users. That becomes data handling. How do you handle your books? How do you handle your clothes? How do you handle your materials around you? Your dresses that you wear. How do you keep them so that when you wear them, it becomes presentable? It becomes attractive. People always admire your shirts. How you always keep yourself. How you organize yourself. When you are in the midst of people, the way you talk. That becomes data handling. The process of gathering information, recording the information, and presenting information to end users. Good. That becomes data handling. That tells you that data handling is also known as what? Statistics. Because data handling becomes a skills that you need to acquire, you need to learn. How to keep yourself, how to organize yourself, how to present yourself. That becomes statistics. That is how we handle data. So data handling is also known as what? Statistics. How data is collected, how data is grouped, how data is organized, how data is presented. So before data can be meaningful, it must pass through all these processes, all these stages. Good. Collecting data using a planned methodology. So if you want to collect data on a field, data as a skills, you need to have methods. You need to come up with an approach that you'll be able to collect the information, the data on a particular field before you present it. So after collecting the data using your methods, there must be a recording with precision and accuracy. So you collect the data with accuracy. You record the data. So after the data has been collected using all your methodology, what you have to do is to record the data and come up with the accuracy of that particular data that has been collected. At the end of the day, you must be able to analyze the data, giving meaning to the data to come up with a conclusion. So after collecting the data and recording the data, what you have to do is to analyze the data so that you can come out with a conclusion, because data becomes a skills. The method used. So after the methodology, there must be a recording for accuracy. There must be a decision making on that particular data for accuracy. Then you analyze the data. You give meaning to the data. At the end of the day, what you have to do is to come out with a conclusion. Whether it is going to be helpful or not. Whether the users are going to benefit or not. Whether the thing that you are going to use suits the interest of the end users or not. So you give analysis to the data, then you come out with a conclusion. At the end of the day, there must be a sharing. So after it has been concluded, what you have to do is to share. You share the data, so you share the process facts. That becomes information. Sharing data in a way which is useful to others, so that others can also benefit from the skills, from the method used, from the analysis made, and the drawing of conclusion. Good. That becomes data as a skills. Alright. Now let's move on to our next slide and see what we have over there. Alright. Good. Handling data using frequency distribution. So we can also handle data using a frequency distribution. this one becomes another way that we can use to handle data for accuracy. We can handle data for presentation. So we handle data using frequency distribution. What is frequency? It is the number of occurrence of individual items that falls under a particular class. The number of occurrence. The number of occurrence, that is the number of times the thing keeps on occurring, of individual items that is being grouped, that falls under a particular class. Good. It can also be defined as the number of times an event or items occurs. The number of times an event or items occurs. The number of times it keeps on repeating, it keeps on occurring. That becomes frequency. Good. I hope you are jotting something down. All right, now let's move on. Frequency distribution table, that tells you that the frequency that you saw earlier on is different from the frequency distribution table, because we said that data is being handled using a frequency distribution table. What is it about? It is defined as the tabular arrangement of data by grouping them into classes together with their corresponding frequencies, together with the number of times they keep on occurring. A frequency distribution is recorded in a frequency table. That is what you have to understand. So the number of times that an individual item being occurring is different from the tabular arrangement of the data by grouping them into classes together with their corresponding frequencies, together with the number of times that particular item keeps on occurring. That becomes frequency distribution table. Good. All right. Now, on the screen, we have a table for you. On the screen, a frequency distribution table showing the number of cars made up of different colors. So as you can see it being displayed over there, red cars, the number of cars that we have is 16. So we have 16 red cars, 16 red cars, 12 green cars, 12 green cars. So you see, in that particular factory, it tells you the number of different colors of cars that are being made available over there. This one becomes a frequency distribution table. Good. Another frequency distribution table showing the color preferred by a group of people. So as you can see it on the display screen, we have number of people. They are interested in blue colors. 18 people are interested in blue colors. 18 people. So the number of people depicts the frequency. The frequency. Then the colors shows what? The objects. So 18 people prefer blue colors. 9 people likes green colors. Then 6 people like red colors. Then 3 people are interested in yellow colors. The number of people, it is the frequency as we discussed earlier on. The number of times an individual item keeps on occurring. So 18 people are interested in blue colors. Then 9 people prefer green colors. 6 people prefer red colors, and 3 people prefer yellow colors. Good. Now let's continue. All right. What do we have? A tally table. Good. What is a tally table? A table that arranges data using tally marks to depict the quantity of each item in the table. I repeat, when we say a tally table, a table that arranges data, okay, arranges data is one way of handling data using tally table. So the tally table becomes a way of handling data. So a table that arranges data using tally marks to show the quantity of each item in the table that defines frequency, the number of times an event occurs. Good. All right. Good. Now, the table below shows the number of children born on different days in a month in Adenta Maternity Home. We have 2, 2, 4. That is the table on the screen. Prepare a frequency distribution table for the data. Now, how do we prepare a frequency distribution table? That tells you that we are going to use the tally to come out with this frequency distribution table. That becomes a way of handling data. Now, let's see how we can put this on. All right, now let's solve this question together. So we have days in a month. Then we have the tally. Then we have the frequency. Okay. So you will start from 1, no 0 rather, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have the last one being 6. So our tally, we have 0 as in 1, which we recorded here, 2, which we recorded here. Now you can see that we are done with the zeros. So we move on to 1. Good. So we have 1 being recorded here. Then our 1 is finished. So as we come out with the tally, what we have to do is to write the frequency. So over here the frequency is 2, here the frequency is 1. Now let's move on to 2. So 2, we will have 1, then we record 2, we record, let's see, okay, 3, you record, 4, you record. So we can write the frequency over here. Now let's move to 3. 3, you have 1, so you record here, 2, you record, 3, you record, 4, you record, 5, you cross it. So the frequency for 3 is 5. Let's move on to the frequency for 4. So the tally will be 1, you record, okay, 2, you record, 3, you record, 4, you record, 5, we cross it, 6, 7, and the last one 8. So our frequency for the 4 is 8. So let's move on to 5. So 5, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. Good. And the last one is 6. So let's see from the table, from the tally given to us, we have 1 of the 6 over there, 2 of the 6. So the frequency table for value for 6 is 2. So as you can see it on the screen, this is the number of times an event occurs. So days in a month, the tally and then the frequency. The frequency shows the number of times the days in a month always occurs. That becomes a tally table. Good. I hope you have learned something from the display as you saw it on the screen over there. Wow. Good. Now let's move on to our next slides. All right. Wow. What do we have? Evaluation. That means that we are coming to the end of today's lesson. I hope and I believe you have learned something today. But I can't leave you without you not taking anything as assignment. What you have to do is to always put what you learn into practice. So let's see what we have with the good. Now I have a question for you, and on the screen it has been displayed over there. You know, you can't just say goodbye, or I can't just say goodbye without you not taking anything with you as assignment. Please, this assignment should be submitted to the school. Okay, you come to the school, you submit the assignment so that we will mark it and correct the mistakes for you. So the question reads, which method would you use to collect data for each of the following? The number of pens each learner in your class has, the number of hours each learner in your class slept last night, the weight of all learners in your class, the weight of all learners in your class. You see, we are talking about continuous data over here. Customers' opinions on a new design of a shop. Lastly, learners' opinions about how their school uses technology in the class. Learners' opinions about how their school uses technology in the class. Fellow students, viewers, listeners, we can't live without saying a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for your wisdom once again. We thank you for a successful lesson. We thank you for whatever we have done today will be achieved in the end. This is what we ask in Jesus' mighty name that we pray. Students, I still want to encourage you not to take your studies as a joke. What you have to do is to always take your studies serious, study, and always try and come out with the best. And until I come your way next time, bye bye for now.